Okay, I am going to demonstrate how to grind a high-speed steel bit to a tool for a right-handed tool and a left-handed tool. This is standard procedure in the industry today. All tools are based on this, regardless of how primitive they look or what have you. The right-handed tool is strictly for turning, and a left-handed tool is basically for facing. And in our class, in our use, this is what we're going to use this tool for, turning and facing. Now, to create a tool for a right-handed tool, or any tool in the industry, for example, we have a tool here. This is an industrial school insert tool, and we notice that the insert's on the right-hand side. Okay, and that's done by looking at the tool with the top up. You must look at the tool with the top up, facing the cutting end. If the cutting side is on the right, it's a right-handed tool. And over here, it designates right there, KTF-R. If this were on the other side, this would be a KTF-L. So right now, this is a right-handed tool. Industry, removable insert, pocket. Now, we're going to take this high-speed steel basic tool bit, and we're going to create a right-handed and a left-handed tool very easily and very simply. Now, again, you're going to look at the top of the tool, and the way you would look at the top of the tool, it could be anywhere, any way you want. But I'm not a lazy person, but I like the advantage of the way they manufacture these with relief on one end. If you flip it 180 degrees, there's relief the same way on the other end. I like to take advantage of it because when we create the relief and the cutting edge on the end, you need this relief and you need the compound angle of end relief. You need the end cutting edge and the end relief. And that's so that the tool can pass by. It's strictly so it can pass by. It's the easiest of grinding. We're going to do that last. I'm going to create a right-handed tool to start. And let me do a left-handed tool. Let me do a left-handed tool. We take the tool. For example, we have this tool that's the same as the subject tool, high-speed steel. This is out of wood. To give you an idea, it's much larger. Top up, looking at it, the cutting edge is on the right-hand side. Fine, I want to make a left-handed tool. I flip it around because I can, and I'm looking, top of the tool, cutting edge is on the left side. Fine, this is the one I want to create first. So, looking at the tool, I place my other tool on top, and I can see that the end of the tool basically is going to be clearance because I'm going to be passing this way. It's going to be going in this motion because this is going to be the cutting edge. This is going to be my cutting edge right here. And I'm coming out. Now, when we create this, the grinding is going to take place so that the last point on this part to see any kind of grinding is going to be the very top or the tip of the tool. We're going to approach it. Everything else is going to be clearing, creating the end, the side cutting edge and the relief, the end cutting edge and the relief. Now, I'm going to go over to the grinder. This is offhand grinding, pedestal grinder, and we're going to inspect it. We have stones, grinding stones. We're going to inspect the spark guard. We're going to inspect the pedestals, make sure we have the right clearances. They're supposed to have a 1/16 to an 1/8 of clearance in both the pedestal rest and the spark guide. These may need some adjustment on the spark guide, and the spark guide or the spark arrestor, as the wheel turns with the carbon steel being ground, sparks will come about, and this helps block most of them off on the spark guide. Now, before you turn this thing on, always step aside. If there's anything wrong, 9 times out of 10, initially it's going to happen. And this wheel could break if there's something wrong. So I'm going to ask you to step aside a second. I'm going to turn it on, and everything seems good. If anything was going to happen, it would have happened by now. Now, we have also what's called as a wheel dresser. This is a dresser. What it does, it corrects the surface of the stone. It unplugs the last grinding or the carbon buildup from the high-speed steel that we're grinding. So to clear that, we just run this dresser into the stone and gently go side to side, as such. Keeping this parallel to the stone and the wheels perpendicular to the face. Now, and we can touch this guy up too, just a little bit. We're actually running these with the stone, and it helps to break the stone down. And that's what creates the sharpness of the stone to grind your carbon steel. Now, as I said before, we're looking at the top. I'm creating a left-handed tool, one, and we're going to work to the tip of the tool, which we're going to leave. This has been set so that you can rest it on it solid, the rest. And I'm going to create this angle, and the other angle for the relief this way is already in the pedestal. It's a compound angle, this way and this way. So I'm going to come in, and before we go any further, I try to only go 1/4 of an inch. There's a reason for that, and the reason for that is we're only going to be using maybe the first 30 or 40 thousandths of the tip of the tool. And by only grinding back 1/4 of an inch, it makes it easier to grind. You can grind it quicker. If you start 1/2 inch back, it's going to require a lot of grinding to get to the tip of that tool. 1/4 inch is pretty much standard and easy. So I'm about 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to go in. I set my angle so, and I'm going to just go in. It gets hot. Make sure you got water. And if you can see the grinding is approaching. You can see the grind mark right there. I'm approaching the top of the tool. Good? Yes. Okay, now I'm going to go a little bit further. We'll check it again. And I'm starting to get even closer. And you can see down here that I got relief at the bottom. I've created the cutting edge. It's almost there. You can see it. I've created it. I got a little further to go. And I'm almost there. Almost there. I got a tiny, tiny little bit to go. And it looks good. It looks to me like we reached it. Now, the second part of this, and we're almost finished, is to do the end cutting edge. And again, in the beginning, I said I wanted to take advantage of the relief that they created the tool with. You don't have to, but I like to take advantage of what's given to me. So we have the relief this way. I just need to create the cutting edge back. And since we have this, the pedestal set for that, I'm just going to move this over a little bit and go straight in. And if you look, you'll see that we now have the cutting edge and we have the relief. And we have the cutting edge of the left-handed tool and its relief also. We create the cutting edge and the relief down. So you have a double compound angle. 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's the left-handed tool. The right-hand tool is coming up next, but I'd like to show you the radius on this tool. Now, before I go any further, the reason I stopped, I did not put side rake or back rake on it. In our purpose for right now, I like to keep this whole top of the tool on center line. Yes, you need it for chip flow and finish, but not necessarily. If you have a decent radius on the end of this tool, you can create the desired surface finish, and your chip flow will still be there. It helps it to have it a little bit more, but if you create back rake and side rake, this surface will no longer be sent on center line to your cutting edge, and you'll have to reset your center distance. Your center height will have to constantly be reset to this where you ground for side rake and top rake. Okay, now I want to show you how to create the radius. We have a stone here, a sharpening stone, and the sharpening stone is generally 2 grades. It's probably about a 400, and this is probably about maybe a 180 or so on this side of the stone. It takes kind of a skillful hand, but the object is to take the 4 angles. Remember I said you have your cutting edge, relief, cutting edge and relief. So I'm trying to create a radius, and I got to follow those 4 angles properly, because you do not want to go negative, because then the surface of this tool becomes back and you're going to end up pushing down below that. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to work it around, and I'm rotating following the angles. That's this side, then I'm going to come from the other side and go back over. And this should have a radius on here, and it's going to be a little tough to see, and I have to use the loop myself. However, I can show you this very easily if you follow me. We take what's known as a jeweler's loop, and I'm going to take this tool, and because of grinding, this is a carbon steel. It does resist, and you can get a burr on this thing. So to clean the top of the tool, we'll take a light emery cloth, and I'm going to turn the tool upside down and kind of rub it against it slightly. So if there's any burrs up there, it's going to be free and clear of burrs. And we can now take a look at the top of the tool, and we can check for a radius. And it may be a little difficult for you to see this radius. I'm not sure if you can see it. I'm not sure. I'm going to go back and forth, and at one point it may be clear. But you'll see a little bit of a radius at the tip of the tool. You can increase and decrease the radius by continuously doing this with the stone. You can continuously do with the stone until you reach a radius size that you would like. If you want it really, really small, you can only do it a little bit. If you want a bigger radius, like say 8, 10, 15 thousandths, you keep going. Again, it's mostly by eye to see that, and they have radius gauges that you could put up against it and check it, kind of on a shadow graph if you really want to get accurate. And this looks absolutely gorgeous, and I would have to say that this is definitely about a 4 to a 7 degrees, 4 or 5 degrees on this tool. And it will give me the desired finish that I need. Now, left-handed tool is created. Got a little hot, but she's okay. Got a little warm. Try to keep it from getting blue and brown, which I did, but you'll be okay.